Hey, what's up guys? In this video, I'm going to be giving you a top to bottom how to use Poizone. I used this way back in the day for like FL Studio 5 when it first came out. I really liked it because it had up to 16 times unison. You can get some really beefy sounds, or not beefy, but like really like trancey wide sounds. This was like, FL Studio's attempt to make like something that sounded pretty trancey. It is kind of based on the JP8080, which is behind me, or JP8000 I should say. But yeah, what makes it really neat is it has, the trance gate, has an arpeggiator, has chorus, delay, and yeah, the JP8000 has a delay. What also makes it cool is the amount of unison you can get, 16 times unison. It's a whole lot of voices. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have our oscilloscope open. This is a good learning tool. It'll actually give you a visible representation of what the waveforms are doing. Pretty neat. So we're going to go to options and then reset program. What this does is this just leaves us with a saw wave. As an excellent starting point. Saw wave has a lot of harmonics. So yeah, they're just the default for many synths. You can do a lot of things starting with a saw wave. There you go. Poizone has 2 oscillators and an oscillator mix and a noise oscillator as well. So basically 3 oscillators. And with the balance, you can balance between oscillator A and B. I'll give you an example of that. I'll just change the pitch of this one a little bit. Right, oscillator A and oscillator B. You right click to reset any parameter. Oscillator A is over here. So we have our saw. And if we click on this pulse thing, this enables a square, which we can then adjust the pulse width, which is pretty neat. Square waves are excellent for, I guess, old school trance basses and stuff like that. We have a ring modulator, which can do some fun things. And then we have sync. Now sync is pretty useful for lower end material, and what this does is we'll sync oscillator A to oscillator B. I'll turn this off so you can actually hear. I'll set the oscillator mix to 50%, and I'll detune this a lot. Right, so we have these two kind of detuned. I'll go like that. There, you can see they're going out of phase now. What I can do is I can hit sync, and that will lock them together. And what I can do. Right, so now they're not going out of phase anymore. Which benefits lower end sound, because with that off, it's kind of a mishmash, but with sync on. Right, useful tip. It's not as robust as a sync as many others, but whatever. Okay, let's continue with just oscillator A. We can add noise, which adds a little bit of analog grit to that. And that's basically it. 2 very simple oscillators that can be either saw or square by engaging the pulse. And yeah, it's all well and good. Let's reset the program again. We have a filter, and it's kind of a basic filter, but it's still quite good. We're gonna play around with the cutoff and resonance. What that does, it's like combs off the higher frequencies. Resonance boosts the frequencies where the cutoff point is. You can really boost that and you get like a whole new shape kind of thing. And that's all well and good. Right click to reset. We have a keyboard track, and what that does is when that is at 100%, actually when it's at 100%, the keyboard or the filter will open up as you move up the keys, right? The filter will compensate for pitch, so it's more of a consistent filter across all keys. It's a good idea to have, so I would use that for sure. Why do I have a spinny thing? Velocity tracking is if you have, I guess, velocity sensitivity on your MIDI controller or Launchpad or virus or whatever you have. How hard you press the key is how much the filter is open, which is really good for expression and getting a unique sound. And you can control that with velocity. Another thing that's controlled with velocity is amplitude, right? So think of it in the same way. If you press a key lightly, it will kind of be quiet. If you pound on it, it will be loud. Same thing applies here. Filter, you get the idea. So that's basically it, right? So how a lot of synths work is you go from left to right, and that works well, and that's how all synths work, left to right. So let's go to our LFO, right? We're going to, well, it says this LFO can only be, I guess, mapped to one destination. Sorry, there's no LFO matrix in here, which a lot of modern synths have. It's kind of hardwired in, which is related to the JP8000. So right now it's mapped to the cutoff by default, the filter cutoff. And we can go amount plus 100%, minus 100%, and that will modulate it accordingly. All the way up to 30 times a second to basically almost zero. So you can have like slow evolving pads. I'll turn up the resonance so it's obvious. You can also adjust the shape. Right now it's a triangle. You can select sine, saw. So it's ramping up. You can hear it. We move this to negative 100, it'll ramp down. So we have to compensate for the filter cutoff in order for that to happen. It's also a really cool thing. Random. And what that does is just the R2-D2 effect. It just picks a random spot. That's pretty cool. Also, you have a re-trigger, so that the LFO will restart whatever shape you have. It'll re-trigger every time you hit a key. With that off, it just does whatever it wants, really. All right, and we can actually map that to other things like frequency. Frequency is fun to play around with. And then we can have frequency of A, which is oscillator A, frequency of AB, which is both frequencies, or both oscillator A and B, controlling both. You can also modulate the pulse width of A, and I'll give you an example of that. So we'll change this to pulse, right? Oh yeah, you might want to have it 50%. Yeah, and with saw, that might be why it's sounding weird. I'll go sine. Right, and that's like classic synth, like something you'd hear from like a computer speaker from like 83. And you can get some nice effects that way, which is modulating the pulse width. The reason why it wasn't working at 100% is because it was it can't pulse width beyond 100%, and it wants to do that via the LFO, so you have to kind of set it accordingly. You'll notice that like modern VSTs like Serum will have like the modulation ring around the knob, which will actually show you how far it's being modulated. Here you kind of have to guess and be like, oh, that's not working out. But that could be an effect you're going for. And we can modulate pan too to give us like a pseudo stereo effect. So yeah, that's all cool. I'm going to go reset program. We're back to our saw. I want to play around with another modulation. We just did the LFO. Now we are doing the envelope. Or envelope. So we have our cutoff here. And I want to modulate the cutoff be the envelope. So I'll just boost the amount. See, in the center, it's 0. As we move up, it will change essentially. Right, we actually have to move it. There you go. All right. So this is kind of like a plucked sort of thing. Attack is all the way down. Decay is at around, I don't know, 5 milliseconds. 563 milliseconds. And sustain is all the way down. So we got like a pluck thing going on. Automatically. And that is mapped to the filter cutoff. We can adjust the frequency as well. Right? That's all well and good. We can also do the same thing with the pulse width. So we can have interesting modulations with that, controlling pulse width A and B. Yeah, so it's just destination and then destination. Pretty easy. I'm going to go reset program again. So now we have something else here. This is the amplifier. This is another envelope, but it is hardwired into the the volume, I guess the amplitude of the output. It's hardwired. There's no destination because it's hardwired. Like you can't change it. It's stuck. Like what's going on here? Right. So we can do all sorts of cool things. Like we can adjust the attack so it's a slowly rise up. Which is good for pads. We can increase the release so it kind of sustains a little bit. Well, it doesn't sustain, but it releases. Sounds a bit more obvious when we have the attack all the way down. All right. Slowly rings out, which you might be into, and that is the amplifier. You can adjust the sustain and have a short decay. You can have like plucky sort of, I don't know, electro sounds going on here, which is good. Down here we have the Arpeggiator, which has up, down, and random. So right now it's off. We can select up. It's at the tempo of 16ths. And that sounds kind of neat, but we'll bring the release down. All right, so that's cool. We can adjust the range as well. It'll go up. Right now it's going up 1 octave. We can go up to 4. Go down. Go up. And go up and down. And we can go random. Right, and these are fun to yeah, these are just classic arpeggiators. All right, and it all works out well. And they are there if you need them. Moving on to delay, it's quite a robust delay for the plugin and the time. So we'll turn that on. All right, we have syncable independent left and right delay times. Right. We have feedback, which is how long the delay will ring out. You can have it really long. Right, and that sounds cool and trancy. The modulation depth will modulate the delay time slightly, making it so like the delay times don't line up exactly. They'll be kind of offset, making a nice chorusy effect. And here's something that was new to me back in the day: is delays had the output, or the wet signal, the feedback signal, had a controllable low cut and high cut, and I was like, what? I've never heard of that. And that prevents a lot of either higher end frequencies accumulating with delay times and the feedback, and kind of smooths them out so you get more of a cleaner sound on the high end. Right? Sounds pretty neat with high cut all the way up. Right? Whatever you need. And yeah, that feature is, pretty cool for the time period. Chorus, which is, self-explanatory. Basically, it's stacking the audio one on top of each other, and it modulates the pitch, or offsets the time. So yeah, we can make the rate fast or slow, and that works to beef up the sound. And that's the chorus. The transgate is always going, and it has a wet, so 100% wet means that it's on. And here's our pattern. We can, mess around and do all sorts of things. It's a stereo transgate. Which is pretty cool. And then we can smooth it, or leave it unsmooth, which is like a very harsh on-off. But with the delay on, it makes it sound a little bit better. Classic trance delay. So the last thing I'm gonna get into is the Unison. So I'm gonna reset program. We're back to our saw wave. And what I want to do is, bump up the Unison. So right now it's one saw, one note, one saw. We go up to 2, it is 1 note, 2 saws. And right now they're stacked on top of each other. And what we can do is we can increase the detune where it sounds nice, and then increase the Unison pan, which will completely spread the image. And the oscilloscope is mono, so it doesn't really pick that up. What we can do is we can go 8 voices unison. So you get 1 note, you get 8 saws stacked up. Right, and that gets pretty loud. And we can go all up to 16 saws. Give it filter. Get some delay on there. Right, and then we can also, since that's only oscillator A, I can bump this up to, maybe I'll go an octave below. Right, and you get so many saws that you kind of actually hear some white noise up there. That is aliasing, and that is sometimes desired. But that's another topic for a whole video. You have, your slide time, which we won't get into. That just dictates if you have one voice polyphony, which is you can only play 1 note at a time. Right now it's at 16 notes polyphony, so we can press 16 notes at one time. So, if you want to go crazy. Right now, simple triads work too. Oh, never mind. Yeah, the polyphony counts as unison, which a lot of other synths don't do that. So we're gonna have to go up to 64. Right, and there you go. So unison is, it's different than modern synths. Yeah, and you have your global transpose. which is cool. And then your micro tune as well, and then your overall gain, which, you know, these sort of things have a center click, so they're a little annoying, but yeah. Anyway, that appears to be it for Poizone, start to finish, ins and outs. It's a great kind of utility, great starting point, and yeah, I had a lot of fun working with this back in the day. Yeah, all right. I hope you learned stuff. Take care and have a good one.